Woo! 8 o'clock like that. Oh, sorry.
And no, you're good, man. Hey, it is. Hey, bro, we were trying to see when these rankings were gonna come out, so we got a little bit of breaking news both for tonight. So, with that being said, it's time to breathe again on this latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast. You see us, me and Patrick, together again, and Patrick, before I get started, remember I told you that I had to acknowledge something. I just got to ask you this question, man. How does it feel to be a champion?
I'm getting to taste a victory, and it tastes sweet because I have not tasted it since 1995. And I know we don't go back. I know our cutoff, but this is just one of those factual things on me that I have not seen anything in the state of Georgia since 1995. So it feels good. Now, I will say this, though. Atlanta is going to be very hard to repeat because a lot of contracts coming up for expiration. 1, 2, we got a lot of people that's not coming back. Duvall's not coming back. We're still waiting on Freeman to test the waters for his free agency. Solaire's probably not coming back. Jock is probably not coming back. So I don't know yet.
It's gonna be a lot of people moving around for sure on a lot of teams. And also, Patrick, I think there is a legit threat. There might not be a season to start off. I know people aren't really worried about it too much because of the whole thing with it being on there. You got Taco Play stuff on Twitch asking you about being bald. So,
yeah. Well, women like it.
So, well, we got. I mean, there.
Well, hold on. Let me answer that question a little bit more thoroughly. All right, bald is actually not that bad. I actually used to have a problem with it up until I realized I save a lot of money on hair products. I don't have to really worry about getting my hair cut, even though my wife owns a hair salon. I don't spend that much time in a chair, so saving money there. I don't have to worry about getting up and having to fix my hair in the morning. Like Charles, he has to. You know what I get to do? Let's go. So save time, save money, and women actually like it. It's not too bad. So I don't mind it at all, actually.
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes picking it out and getting it groomed, but it's
and
okay.
I don't.
Well, baseball though, yeah, that season, I know a lot of people aren't worried about it too much because it is the off season, but Ben, you know how it is. The owners and the players union, they're far apart on these deals. So we will see if they get something started before the season is supposed to start, come late March, early April. And hopefully this isn't looking like a strike. But until then, Patrick, congratulations to y'all. Congratulations to the Braves for winning that championship. And I know that it has to feel great for you, like you said, because it has been a while for you, the Georgia sports fan.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I know we'll probably go over, I want to wait until we hear more about what's going on with the strike and if there is going to be a season or anything, because there is a lot of players going out for either free agency or opting out for their contracts or whatever. Because big one, the biggest one, in my personal opinion, there's actually 2 of them: Freddie Freeman, Justin Verlander.
Yeah, I had heard Verlander might go to the Giants, and then we'll see with Freeman. I don't see Freeman leaving Atlanta. I don't. I know there's a lot of talk going around that, but that's like one of those things. I would put that on the level of Tom Brady leaving the Patriots or something. Like Freddie Freeman's like Mr. Brave.
he is, and you're absolutely right. But it truthfully, it might not be Freddie Freeman's choice.
It might not. You're right.
If that ownership does not figure something out. Because I mean they've been negotiating it. I mean, right when Atlanta hit 500 in August, about that time frame, that's when they put all those negotiations on hold and was like, let's worry about that in the off season, because they went back and forth for 3 months and still couldn't negotiate on an extension. So, with him doing what he did in the game 6, it may not be his choice, but I think it's gonna come down to money, and if the ownership or management's gonna give him what he wants.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll monitor it in the coming months. But again, Patrick, congrats to the Braves and to you, the Georgia sports fan. Let's get into the business at hand, man, because we got a lot to cover. So let's start with the college football review. What stood out to you this weekend?
Several things, man. I'm gonna start with my team, because I normally don't do this. I normally wait until the end, but I got to start with my team. This Georgia team is crazy nasty on defense. We have both agreed on that. I'm going to tell you right now, if this offense does not do something and start picking it up or stop playing around, I don't know how well this Georgia team is going to do, because our defense has scored more points than our offense has this entire season. That's a problem. That is a huge problem. We cannot rely on our defense like that. I mean, the offense has got to do their part too. There's a reason why there's an offense and a defense. So, Georgia, if y'all have got to pick up the offense, man.
Now, Patrick, I didn't see the game between y'all and Missouri, but y'all scored 43 points. You mean tell me the defense set a lot of that up? I know Bennett had 2 touchdown passes in there.
The defense did set that up on several occasions. The defense put Stetson Bennett after a turnover, put Stetson Bennett on the 35 of.
I know they got a block punt.
They got a block punt, so that's more defense. There was a pick 6, and then there was a fumble for a 6, and that's 2 defensive touchdowns. And then the defense blocked the punt and got the safety. So, I mean, look, out of that 43 points, defense probably scored 19 points of it. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a lot of points. I mean, in retrospect, I get it. I understand that's what the defense is supposed to do. But, man, I think there's a problem, man, because they're not scoring the way they should be scoring. I mean, it's not efficient scoring. It's like the defense has to put up 20 points before the offense is like, oh, okay, that's what we got to do. And then they go and do it. I'm like, y'all should be doing this like routinely, but I don't know. I think it might start coming together, because this was a better outing for the offense. But it took them a little bit to get started. I don't like where the offense is setting, because you're going to play against somebody like Alabama. That's not going to set well. You know what I'm saying? Because the defense is going to be able to stop that offense. And if the defense is stopping that offense, it's going to be a low scoring game. But I mean, I just don't feel comfortable with it. The offense to be clicking a little better than what they are. So that the next one, which I called, I was pretty excited about. North Carolina beating Wake Forest,
right?
Which was a high-scoring game. I did say that they would probably break into the 100, but I meant that as a joke.
Nah, dude, neither one of them got good defense. Neither one can stop anybody.
I mean, it's true, and it was made blatantly obvious in that game, because nobody showed up to play. A good game, which I thought was a really good game, well played, and was very, very disciplined football, was Illinois and Minnesota, dude. That was a good game. I watched several minutes of that game, because it was just back and forth. Illinois ended up winning that one 14-6, but it was a well played game by both teams. Cincinnati getting past Tulsa. I thought that was going to be a little bit more one-sided, but it was not. TCU beating Baylor. TCU had a fantastic defensive game plan for Baylor. Baylor still scored 28 points, but it could have gotten away from them right there in the third quarter. But TCU ended up, I think it was an interception, and that kind of just busted Baylor. And it never looked good for Baylor after that. And then they went back on their game plan and played well. So, you got to give it up for TCU for playing really well.
Yeah, they had an interception to salt the game away. I mean, Baylor was driving, and the dude jumped in the flat, and the Baylor quarterback did not see him.
I think nobody saw him because, I think I blinked, and the next thing I know, it was going back the other way, and I was like, where the hell did he come from?
I don't think he saw him, man. The reason why I say that is because he never looked away from that target. And so he just stared that receiver down, and my man's like, okay.
You're looking at him because I'm gonna.
Yeah, right.
He was gone, man. So that was a good game. The Texas A&M and Auburn. Texas A&M is a good team, but this was the tale of Bo Nix. Which Bo Nix are you going to get? And we did not get to see the Bo Nix that has played in the past 2 weeks.
I'm gonna give A&M's defense credit for that one, man. This is the A&M team that a lot of people, I guess, were expecting to come through. They just kind of showed up late to the party, but that defense was all over Bo Nix. Like normally, you would say, "All right, Bo, stop trying to run around like you're Michael Vick or somebody, try to make all these plays and stay in the pocket." Man, A&M was just all over him today on that game, man. So I'm not. A&M's defense was nasty. They had a good game plan there.
They did. I was expecting Bo to get rid of the ball faster, make an adjustment of some sort. He didn't, and that offensive line couldn't hold anybody. That pocket was collapsing within 2-3 seconds of every play, and they were getting pressure with 4 people up front the entire game, which I was very impressed with Texas A&M and how they were doing that. And then blindside blitzes, dude. I mean, they played Bo Nix very well, and he just could not do what he needed to do. So, congratulations to that defense because that was a very well played game. Purdue beating Michigan State, dude. Holy cow! I mean, like you said, that was a trap game, and boy, Michigan State got punched in the mouth early. They never got up. So Purdue, well played offense and defense. That was well played, and they were very low penalized. I think they only had like 4 penalties for like 30 yards, maybe something like that. I can't remember. I remember looking at the stat when the game was ending, and I think it was like 4 penalties for 30 yards, and that was it. So well played. No pass interferences or anything. They just played them well. Arkansas beating Mississippi State, dude. I thought Arkansas was going to spank them, but they did. But they did win.
They weren't.
Well, I was thinking because I was like, but then, and they did. They were actually winning by like 17 points at one time. Mississippi State came back like you said they would. So I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to hear anything. Mississippi.
You don't want me to say anything now?
No, because I already know what you're going to say. I'm going to go ahead and
we get to talk mess when things go right for you. But okay, I can't say nothing. All right, I got you. I understand.
Yeah. The Alabama LSU game was really good. LSU played a good game. Just Alabama was stronger, faster, more depth. But hey, you got to give it up to LSU and Ed Orgeron, even though he's out the door, man, they still played for him. So I was a bit impressed with the fact that the team still played. So Tennessee beating Kentucky, dude. I mean, that was on like 4 TVs in my house. I was actually kind of surprised because, like, I don't know why, but yeah, that was a good game, man. That one went back and forth too. That was a good game. And what was the other one? I guess that was it. I mean, Michigan doing what they were supposed to do against Indiana, but that was it.
All right, man. Look, you pointed out a lot of the games that I was looking at. I think with okay, Ohio State and Nebraska. So that one was interesting to me because Nebraska probably should have won that game. They hung in there, and I guess this is Nebraska's story all year. They're in all the games, but they can't finish. They cannot finish drives. They can't finish games. Just that simple. They were in the game with Oklahoma. They were in this game with Ohio State. They were in this game with Michigan. Can't finish them. And like the field goal kicker, he can't hit field goals. And every time Nebraska
Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and every time Nebraska has a chance to make a break, just to make a play, they can't do it. But the one thing I will say is at least they are playing hard for Scott Frost. They did, I guess they gave him an option for next year, and they restructured his deal. And so they decided that they're going to buy him out. It was going to be $15 million to buy him out. So now that number's down to half that. So, so basically, hey, Scott Frost, get it together or you're out of here. The other game, all right, so this was kind of under the radar, but for the people in SEC land, it's not really. South Carolina blew out Florida the other day, 40-17. And Dan Mullen, that seat is hot for him.
Yeah.
It is getting really bad. I guess he was chippy with the media after the game against Georgia, where, of course, Georgia won 34-7. And they were asking Dan Mullen about recruiting. And I guess he was like, we'll worry about recruiting after the season. And the media members are like, really? You're not recruiting during the season? Because that's what the best coaches in the SEC are doing. And he just got really upset. There was not another media session. And this game against South Carolina, this was the kind of loss, Patrick. It's the kind of loss where you wonder if Dan Mullen's message is starting to get lost. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was that bad of a loss. So you really have to wonder if he can kind of regain some stuff going or as the season ends, and then we'll see what the status is. But you know how it is in the SEC. It's very, 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 very ultra competitive, and the patience is not high in the SEC at all. Nope. So I mean, Mullen's been there. This is his 3rd or 4th year. So it's 3rd year. And if he ain't down in Florida, you know, they expect him to compete. So he's going to have to get together. He fired the defensive coordinator and the offensive line coach. You know what that means also. You start firing coordinators, you don't have no wiggle room. So it better start enough for them. Exactly. The other games you pointed out, LSU and Alabama. Like you said, LSU played hard, and they almost pulled that bad boy out. The Alabama win, the Cincinnati win. So those teams, they're just kind of struggling right now, and it just looks like it's going to be a survival of the fittest right now. There's not a team. Ohio State, same thing. There's just not a team that's really dominating. Purdue, hey, they got a chance to continue the upset train as we get into the preview.
Next week.
Cincinnati, real quick on them before we get to the preview. They look like a team that is feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're playing. They're not playing free. Like, a lot of things are just a little bit off. The touchdown pass that Desmond Ridder threw that made that game 28-12, I believe. Normally that's in stride. And that one, it kind of floated in the air. The receiver had to wait for it. That's like, oh man, that should have been an easy touchdown. But it's just like plays like that. It's just, they're not crisp. And it looks like, and then College Game Day was there the other day too. it just seems like they're feeling the pressure right now. They're not playing free.
I agree with you. These games that I mean, like Tulsa. Let's be honest. For Cincinnati, the caliber of team Cincinnati is, that should have been a blowout. It should have been. That I mean, if this was earlier in the season when Cincinnati is ranked 8th, there's no pressure, like you said. There's no pressure. All of a sudden, they're ranked in the top 4. Everybody's talking about, is this the team that could possibly do it? Can they make that playoff run? Even as an independent, is this the year that it happens? And then it's just like, crap. All of a sudden, now Tulsa is hanging with them. I agree with you, man. This is definitely a lot of pressure on Cincinnati to see if they can fulfill that as an independent going in and being a team that could ultimately get clobbered by another team.
Well, I mean, they're a group of 5 team.
But they're a group of 5 team, and it is what it is. Let me take that back because I really don't feel like answering that "it is what it is" question right now.
Why not? No, all right, no,
because I'm on a thought process.
All right.
The thing is that Cincinnati has an opportunity, and with this opportunity, this will allow people to say there is a chance. There is a chance for a group of 5, an independent, to make the playoffs. They have to go through trials, and they have to get a lot of help from the 5 conferences, the Power 5 conferences, but it is doable. And if they can't pull it off, then it's like, now it can't be done. You know what I'm saying? Because I think this is like the one chance. Is, we'll say this about a lot of teams. Like, if they're going to win, like Georgia, for example, if they're going to win a national championship, this is their year. Don't know how it's going to look moving forward because we're going to lose a lot of players coming next year. But if they're going to win with the defense they have, if they're going to win, this is the year. They have to win that national championship. This is the same way for Cincinnati.
All right. Well, speaking of that, where are you at with your preview?
So the North Carolina Pitt game is a very interesting game for me. I think it's going to be a really good game. They are playing in Pittsburgh. So is that North Carolina team? Are they for real? We're going to find out. You know what I mean? This is that game. We find out if North Carolina was what everybody had talked about them at the beginning of the season. This is the game right here. You're 5-4, should rightfully probably be somewhere around 7-2, maybe even 8-1 if you go by what everybody was saying at the beginning of the year. But they're 5-4. They're in a hunt for a bowl game. So this is a game that they can win and build on moving for the rest of the season, possibly recruitment, and going into next season. This is a big game for North Carolina. Rightfully so. It's also a big game for Pitt too. Pitt doesn't want to lose out of they're in the same conference. So they don't want to lose to North Carolina either. And they got a statement to make with their record and proving that they are top in the ACC as well. So it's a very interesting game that I really want to watch that North Carolina Pitt game. Oklahoma and Baylor. Let's see what Oklahoma's made of. Playing in Baylor. Let's see if they're capable of making that big push for a playoff bid. Minnesota, Iowa. That one's going to look pretty good. The Purdue and Ohio State one, which I think you're going to probably go on, so I'm not going to say much about that one.
Yeah, Iowa and Minnesota is the first team to 3.
Yeah.
I think offense is optional for that one.
Yeah, and that is a heavily defense game. It's gonna be really fun to watch. I love defense, so
yeah,
that's another game I'm probably gonna be watching too. You want to talk about high scoring though? Now we got Texas A&M and Mississippi State. I think that could be some high scoring football. So if you like a lot of
I
offense,
think they're playing Ole Miss, right?
oh, they are playing Ole Miss. That's what I meant because because Mississippi State ain't gonna score like that.
Mississippi State,
Yes.
they're playing in Auburn this week.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting game too.
It is.
But high scoring. You want to talk about high scoring? There you go. Watch that Texas A&M and Ole Miss game. Let's see. And that's it.
I am with you with those games. I think NC State and Wake Forest, that'll be a good one.
Can Wake Forest bounce back?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Wake Forest, which I guess this was a technicality with the scheduling and the realignment of the Atlantic Coast Conference. The loss to North Carolina does not count against them in conference, which is crazy, I know, because both of them are in the ACC. It's technicality that happened when it came to the restructuring of the conference. And because of that, this game was put in place for the purpose of keeping that rivalry going. But in terms of conference standings, it did not count against Wake Forest. So technically, Wake Forest is still undefeated in conference play. And it's weird. I know. Like I remember people were like, "Oh, this is a non-conference game." I'm like, they're playing North Carolina. Give me a break. How's that a non-conference game?
It's like Notre Dame. That's a conference. When you play an ACC, that's a conference game. I'm sorry. They need to stop being little babies and join the conference already.
So yeah, I mean, but that one's just interesting because they're both in the same part of the ACC in the Atlantic Division. So the winner of that game would have the inside track to be in that conference championship game. You have Michigan and Penn State. I'm wondering how's Penn State still ranked. Anyway, but but they are playing.
Technically, they're not. I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's the AP poll or one of the other one, maybe the coaches poll, where they got them ranked 23rd. And I was like, what? Why?
Both of those, they have them ranked 23rd.
Yeah, so
I thought they fell out.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't know. Well, maybe Michigan can take them out, but it will be tough there in State College. So Michigan, one of those things, man. Hey, can you go in here? Can you take care of your business? Get everything together, and then roll into that game against Ohio State in a few weeks, and we'll see what happens. Purdue and Ohio State. Look, Purdue's on an upset train. They beat number 2 Iowa when they were number 2. They beat Michigan State last week, number 3, and now they have this game in Columbus. Do Ohio State? It's the same question I always ask, Patrick. Ohio State is not that great, but what team in the Big Ten can rise up and take them out? That is always the question when it comes to this. Could it be Purdue?
Got 3 games.
Yes.
That is going to be tough.
Yeah, Purdue and then Michigan State and then at Michigan to finish. So, I mean, we're going to find out a lot about Ohio State here in the coming weeks. So
we're also going to find out a lot about Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan.
Yeah, and that's we were talking about that from last week, man, because all these teams are going to play each other. So, I mean, it's going to be really fun to see which team stands out. I'm still betting on Ohio State if I'm going to bet because I haven't seen enough evidence that says the other teams can consistently rise up. Might be able to do it for a game, might be able to do it for a couple of games, but when the season is on the line, which it will be, can someone rise up and beat Ohio State? That's going to be the question.
Because we're right there in the mix. I mean, like seriously, like what is Purdue? 2 losses?
Yeah, I think Purdue has 2 or 3 losses, but I mean, but they can come out of the whatchamacallit, out of the West still. I think Wisconsin actually has the inside track on that, which is crazy. But but yeah. So I think according to the standings, they have the inside track because they beat Iowa. I know they have a game with Minnesota head-to-head coming up. They beat Purdue as well. So they have the inside tracks on the tiebreakers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you're still looking at Ohio State with 1 loss. You're looking at Michigan State with 1 loss, and you're looking at Michigan with 1 loss. So, yeah, it does not get any closer for a conference than this right here. These last 3 weeks, it does not get any better than this. So, hey, man, I'm excited for the Big Ten. I really am, with that type of caliber of play to represent a Power 5 conference. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that any of those teams would beat an SEC team. What I am saying, though, is that it is close, and that's what you want to see in a Power 5 conference. Close. You want to see 4 or 5 teams with 1 loss or no losses. You know what I mean? So congratulations to that Michigan State team and that Michigan team to make it a conference, a close race to see who wins. So no, I like it.
Yeah, and then we got like I said, we mentioned the SEC games: Mississippi State and Auburn, Texas A&M and Mississippi, and then there was one more game that I was looking at.
Georgia, Tennessee, man.
Yeah, Georgia should handle that. I know Tennessee is making strides in the right direction, but they're not ready for Georgia. Georgia should win, I think, by 3 touchdowns.
I actually got them winning by I got them winning by 20. But the thing is that for that Tennessee team, this is their thing. They can score points. Problem is, they can also allow points too. So,
well, Patrick, hey, we're gonna move on to the NFL for now because I haven't seen the rankings come out yet. So when they do come out, we will come back to them. But
I am keeping a refresh every now and then to see.
Yeah, me too. So for the NFL, man, what caught your eye?
Give me just a second. I got to get there because there was a couple of games that I was looking at. The Cleveland-Cincinnati game. How in the heck is Cleveland going to go in to Cincinnati and beat them like that? Man, that was but
statement.
It was a statement game, and I think Cleveland is they better start putting up numbers like this if they're gonna win that division. That's all I can say. Denver beating Dallas. I can only imagine. I want to hear what your comments are on that, so I'm not going to say anything about that one yet. because I love hearing your perspective of Dallas. Woo! We're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, what's up?
So, when we lose, it's time to fire everybody. Yeah.
I want to hear yours. So I'm not saying anything.
All right.
That Miami Houston game turned out to be a pretty good game. I mean, yeah, it was two.
It's the battle of the suck. Yeah.
And only one team could suck more than the other. So, Giants getting another win against Vegas. That was pretty good. New England beating Carolina. I only bring this one up because the Mac Jones and the way he handled that game. I mean, every week I say he's getting better and better every single week. So New England found them a quarterback, man. Jacksonville in the battle of the field goals beat Buffalo.
Yeah, bad loss for Buffalo.
Bad loss
for Jacksonville, though. Give Jacksonville credit.
Yeah, you gotta give them credit. They played. They left it all.
They muddied the game up.
Yeah, and they were. Man, you can tell though they were giving it every bit of what they had, and in that fourth quarter, man, you could see them. They were done, but they kept fighting. So I like that. That was a fighter spirit. You can judge people on the amount of talent they have all day long, man. When it comes to that heart, That was the difference of that game. Heart was the difference of that game. And Jacksonville had it in spades, dude. What was the other one? Tennessee beating the Rams. That was a pretty good game. I liked that one. I watched a little bit of that one. And then the Chicago, they're fighting it, man. They starting to fight. They scored 27 points on Pittsburgh. They're starting to get some fight in them Bears, man. So, but that was it.
All right. Well, okay. Denver and Dallas. Look, here's the deal, Patrick.
Yes.
Dallas. This is what they do, man. They look good, and then they get hit in the mouth. They start feeling their oats, all the newspaper clippings, and remember what we talked about last few weeks or a few weeks ago. Maybe it was a couple weeks ago, but this is the most valuable franchise in all of sports. So if they are doing good, the media attention that is going to be on them is going to be magnified just for that simple fact. So here they are. They were 6-1 going into this game against Denver. They just beat the Minnesota Vikings up there in Minnesota with their backup QB. So everybody's like, oh, yeah, man, Dak Prescott's coming back. They should run over Denver. Now, I'll tell you this, Patrick. I thought Denver could beat Dallas. I didn't pick them to beat Dallas, but I felt like they could because Denver has a good defense. Yeah. And so they can match up pretty well with all those receivers Dallas have. When they were beating them 30-0, and Denver had Dak Prescott under 100 yards throwing in the first 3 quarters, I said, my goodness. But you know what? Yeah. Humble pie. Now we're going to find out what Dallas is made of, even though this is a yearly occurrence for them. They look good, and then they get smashed. And now here in Dallas-Fort Worth, it is DEFCON 3. It's DEFCON Delta, whatever you want to call it. Everybody needs to get fired. They want Mike McCarthy's head on a platter. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing how fair weather this fan base is. Amazing. Hey,
we always say it's a week to week sport. Well, for fans, they're week to week fans. Let's call it what it is. Sorry, Stan, but yeah, that week to week fans, man.
Oh my gosh! And you mentioned the Rams and the Titans. Hey, Tennessee, if you haven't been taking them seriously, now is the time to do it. They did this without Derrick Henry. They went to LA and beat the Rams like that without Derrick Henry. This is a good team, a legit team that is capable of going to the Super Bowl from the AFC. They have beaten, they are 6-0 against playoff teams from last year. Like
teams I didn't even realize that.
Yes, they are 6-0 from against playoff teams from last year. So that's Kansas City, Buffalo, Seattle. This game here with the Rams, and twice they beat the Colts. So there's your 6 wins against playoff teams from last year. And then they have the Saints coming in, which we'll get to in the preview. But yeah, Tennessee is legit. There was another game that stuck out to me. It is escaping me right now. Let's see. Cleveland. Yeah, all right. So that was the one. Yeah, Cleveland beating Cincinnati like that. I didn't really see that coming, but hey, that AFC North and the AFC West, all those teams, Patrick, have winning records. All of them. So
hold up.
Yes, all those teams have winning records. Every single one of them in both of those divisions. Ravens are 6-2, Pittsburgh's 5-3, Browns and Bengals 5-4. You go to the West, 5-3 and 5-3 for the Chargers and the Raiders, and then 5-4 for the Broncos and Chiefs.
Wow.
So all those teams, that's how crowded it is. That's how compacted it is in the AFC period. So
literally one game separates 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is really tight.
And in the
really
North,
tight. Oh, and you
It's
mentioned the
2 games.
Giants game. The Giants, to me, that's a good team. They have been so ravaged by injuries, though, and they can't get any type of chemistry. They're starting to get people back. And if they can just kind of hang in there, they might not be able to pull the NFC East out because they are kind of far behind the Cowboys. But they can get a wild card spot because there's no one in the NFC running away with the wild card spot.
Nope.
So, I mean, it's really top heavy between the Cardinals, Packers, Buccaneers, and Cowboys, even though the Cowboys are going to fall down. But
Hey,
record-wise.
They're going to trip all over those Spurs here in a little bit.
Yeah, right. Oh, Patrick, I can't believe you didn't bring this up. The Falcons beat the Saints, dude.
I told you 4 weeks ago and counting, I would not mention another thing about the Falcons unless you brought them up. I'm holding true to that. I'm not to hell with the Falcons until they can put a winning record together. I'm not talking about them. But since you brought them up, they should not have lost that game because they were up by 18 points in the fourth quarter.
You knew the Saints were going to come back there in New Orleans. You knew it was going to Atlanta.
But come on, 18 points. You're going to blow an 18 point with 4 minutes left or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter to have to win it with a flipping field goal. That's a joke. That team's a joke.
Well, Patrick, let's get to the preview on that note. And the Falcons are playing the Cowboys. So let's continue talking about the Falcons a little bit more. Since we're on this, I got to bring them up situation. So let's do it.
4-5. That's where they're at. Dallas is going to the Super Bowl because they beat Atlanta.
What else is catching your eye on the preview as we're still waiting to see these rankings get unveiled?
Okay, so I mean, look, I think that Atlanta. Go ahead. Did it just come out?
They just came out. We'll finish the preview and then we'll go back to the rankings.
Okay, so the Atlanta-Dallas game is a very interesting game. I do have Dallas winning that game, obviously, because I'm pissed off reasons, but Atlanta is starting to show signs of actually caring. That's the thing, is they're starting to care that they win. Do I think Matt Ryan is the person to take them to a Super Bowl and win? Absolutely not. But for whatever reason, he's still the quarterback, so I will. But enough said. I'm not going any more on that. One of the big games that I'm interested in is New Orleans and Tennessee. That's going to be a good game. Jacksonville. I'd like to see if Jacksonville can continue their heart. Like I said in the review, they had a lot of heart in that game against Buffalo. Let's see that continue. I want to see that continue because they. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, man. I think they're gonna fight for Urban Meyer, man. I really think they're building something there in Jacksonville.
And if all it took was him to go dance, get a booty to dance on him to get this kind of reaction, he should have done this week 1.
That possibly, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Look, if this is what it takes, man, they were all looking at him, and I can tell you, both of those wins came after that. They were looking at it going, "Okay, bro, we lost this locker room. We behind you, bro."
Yeah, and Patrick, and that's the thing. Like without spending too much time on it, like what you said, maybe something like this can galvanize the team. Like I said, like to me, and I know you said it too, that to me, this is not that big of a deal. It's only a big deal in the eyes of his wife. If his wife has an issue with it, then okay, then that's on them. That's on their marriage. We don't know what those relationship terms are, though. So So if they're okay with it, then no one else should really care. And I promise you, at least half of those players are thinking in their heads, man, look at this old man getting it like that. All right, what without getting into it. Without getting to
bro, I want to own a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's all through their head, man. It's like,
Patrick, we cannot go off the rails yet. We gotta stay.
okay, we're not
Gotta
going
stay
off
on
the
point. Gotta stay on
Let me
point.
jump in this because this won't take me much longer.
All right.
Cleveland and New England. I think this is going to be a really good game.
I think that could be the game of the week, honestly.
Could be the game of the week. Yep. Let's see here. Kansas City and Las Vegas is going to be a good game. Seattle and Green Bay. That's always a good game, no matter what the records are on that one. There's always a good game. And Rams in San Francisco.
Yes, we need to beat the Rams to save our season right now. Like our season is on the line. The Browns and Patriots, like I just said, man, I feel like that could be the game of the week right there. I actually like the Patriots in that one. I think that defense, and that defense I think can really mess up Baker Mayfield. You know how New England is; they're one of the best in the league in taking away what a team does the best. Cleveland runs the ball the best, or one of the best. So you know they're going to stuff that box, and they're going to force Baker Mayfield to beat him. I don't think he can make enough throws. So I like New England in that game, and I'm with you with Mac Jones. He is really coming to his own under that system. Seattle and Green Bay. So that one's interesting because we got to see if Russell Wilson is able to come back for Seattle and if Aaron Rodgers is able to come back for Green Bay. If you get that matchup, that could be very, very interesting. See, Kansas City and Las Vegas, that's one I want to see because this is a statement game for Las Vegas. This is the game that can say, this is our division. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this bad boy over. We're going to smash y'all. Y'all come to our place. We're going to smash y'all. And then we'll see what happens with if the Raiders can carry it up through. They've been going through a lot of stuff in that front office and on that team, though. It's been really, really bad. But then there was one more game before we get to the thing.
I want to mention one game real quick. It's a very important game. Buffalo and New York. Buffalo has got to win that to maintain pace in their division.
Yeah, they got New England right on their heels. And so that's and they got to kind of get their stuff together, man, after losing to Jacksonville, man. Yeah. They got to regroup. So Patrick, all right, man, let's get to these college football rankings that just came out. And what you have in your top 4 is in this order. Georgia's number 1, Alabama's number 2, Oregon moved up to number 3, and Ohio State now is your 4th team. So really, they didn't do anything other than just move everybody up a spot from Michigan State losing to Purdue, and Michigan State dropped to number 7 below Michigan. They kept Oklahoma at number 8, Notre Dame's 9, and Oklahoma State rounds out the top 10. So what's your thoughts about what they did here?
I mean, I agree with it. I kind of felt that with a Purdue loss to Michigan State, they probably should have dropped down a little further. I would have probably moved them to around 8, 9. But
I would have put them at 10.
Because
Purdue, because we talked about Purdue, but they're unranked.
They're unranked. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would have been mad at that, dropping them down to 10 and just move everybody up 1. But I mean, I also get it. They also did beat Michigan, so you got to drop them below Michigan because Michigan won for last week. But I mean, I see I see what they did. But it wouldn't have hurt me none for them to drop down to 10. I think they would have probably been more deserving of 10 than 7. But it'll work itself out.
Yeah, and I always say that. Like it'll work itself out. Cincinnati, I will actually give the committee credit for this. They actually moved them up a spot. And so they said they just kind of moved them up and just put Michigan State, just slid them in there in number 7. But moving Cincinnati up to 5, all right. I can get with that because the thinking was they struggled with Tulsa. how are they going to move up? That was the thinking, because you're thinking Cincinnati has to blow teams out if they're going to make the best impression. But honestly, nobody's blowing anybody out. Alabama struggled to beat LSU. Ohio State struggled to beat Nebraska.
Michigan didn't just handle Indiana either. So
right. So all your top teams in there, they're having struggle games. Oregon, they battled with Washington last week up in Seattle. So none of these teams besides Georgia is looking overly impressive in the country right now. Period. So I mean, it's I think if Cincinnati, if the committee is consistent, we know they're not consistent, of course, but if the committee is consistent, one of these teams, because Oregon, or excuse me, Ohio State, as you mentioned earlier, they're going to play Michigan State and Michigan still. So there's a good chance, or at least a chance, that Ohio State could drop out of there. And then you got what?
Cincinnati got South Florida this week.
Yeah, and it's up down in Tampa, excuse me. That it could be tough. I think they should win that game. I honestly think they're tougher games because they'll have one coming up with SMU. I think SMU comes up there to Cincinnati.
East Carolina.
Yeah, East Carolina's solid. I think they can handle them. To me, it's if they're able to carry it on through and they get to the American Athletic Conference Championship game, then it looks like they'll see Houston, and that one could be really difficult for them to handle as well. So Cincinnati, they got some games that can sneak up on them. South Florida, East Carolina, SMU, and a potential game with Houston. I mean, they got to be careful through there. Yeah. So all those teams, man, with the exception of Georgia, and then we'll see if Georgia sees Alabama in the SEC championship. It can be interesting. There could be a lot of shakeups.
And Oregon still has Utah.
Yeah, in Salt Lake City, exactly. So that they can lose that game. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Utah won that game.
I wouldn't be
there at home.
I'll let you know how I feel that week, but I mean, as it stands right now, I'm actually kind of leaning towards Utah to win that game.
Yeah, Oregon hasn't looked that strong. So, I mean, I can totally understand you saying that, man. So, yeah, so the rankings, I guess overall, I guess you and I agree, man. They just basically just took Michigan State out of there and just moved everybody else up a spot. That was in your top 6 from last week.
I do agree with you on the Cincinnati, man. I'm glad they left them there because even like you said, even though they struggle with Tulsa, none of these teams are like overly powering right now, especially with Alabama and LSU being as close as it was, Oregon and Washington being as close as it was. So no, I agree with it. I mean, I think Michigan State should probably drop down a little further. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, all right, Patrick. Well, before we get on out, man, let's get in this topic real quick about the Packers because we mentioned Aaron Rodgers coming back. So Aaron Rodgers, as we know, last week he got COVID. He wasn't able to play in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So you had Jordan Love starting. There was a lot of hype around Jordan Love. Because people wanted to see what he could do in a regular season game. He's getting a lot of pressure because of that draft pick the Packers made to get him. And the game was 13-7 Kansas City. Jordan Love, I'll say this, he didn't look good initially, but it looked like finally he was kind of starting to find some footing there in the fourth quarter. For me, I think a lot of people are really being harsh on Jordan Love because the situations were far different than what you would normally have. It's not like Aaron Rodgers got hurt and Jordan Love had time to work with the first team like that because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Aaron Rodgers found out, or at least we all found out, he tested positive for COVID that Wednesday. the number one receiver, Devontae Adams, couldn't practice until that Friday because he also had COVID. But he finally came back that Friday. So there's your number one receiver and your quarterback going out. And so now, hey, Jordan, get ready. Like, you really did to play in Arrowhead Stadium, one of the toughest environments to play at in the league.
Yeah.
So to me, everyone's like, "Oh, Jordan Love ain't ready." Well, okay. Well, hey, you go ahead and you find out that you're going to be starting on Wednesday, and you don't have your number one targets.
Hey, it happened in baseball. Game 4, World Series. They threw out Lee out there. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah.
He only pitched 4 1/3 inning going against Zach Greinke, who has pitched over 4,000 innings. I'm sorry. It's just, oh, by the way, and he found out Game 4 day, not like the day before. No, they're going to let him know when he showed up to the park. He's got his bag on. Hey, Lee, you pitching today? Oh, okay, that's fine. You're starting.
What?
What?
What? Look, I get it. Jordan Love didn't look good. All right, cool, fair enough. But if you're just gonna leave that be as a blanket statement, you're just, which, all right, let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of people just want to stick with that blanket statement of what happened. But if you're just gonna ignore the circumstances that went into that, then you can't call yourself legit. I'll just put it that way.
I know. I mean, look, like you said, he didn't practice with the first team, and he was down as number one wide receiver. Yeah, and they probably cut out Thursday of practice, so you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that you lose. So he comes out there on Friday to find out that he's going to be the quarterback on Sunday.
Playbook is probably condensed.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're probably looking at 10% of the playbook at that point. Yeah, he didn't look super good, but you know what? Give him a week with the starting offense, and he'll look 10 times better come next week.
Exactly. And again, Patrick, because everybody, man, these people, these narratives that always come out when it comes to Aaron Rodgers are like, oh, well, Jordan Love didn't look good. That only looks good for Aaron Rodgers down the line. Aaron Rodgers was never worried about losing his starting job to Jordan Love.
No, not a real.
That was not a worry of his at all. And to be real, Patrick, I don't think the Green Bay Packers drafted him with that intention right away. They drafted him because they felt this could be the guy for the future. But they knew they had Aaron Rodgers. They weren't going to just sit there and push him out the door. They weren't, quote unquote, ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. No. That wasn't what was happening there.
It's not like the Brett Favre the thing. Well, even then, it is kind of. I mean, it's kind of similar. They only drafted Aaron Rodgers because Brett Favre was coming down to his last years.
Right.
I mean, come on. Don't be sensitive because an organization has to move on from somebody that's 60 years old. Sorry, but that's the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? It's business, man. It is business. There are some personal qualities that go into that business, but a team has to keep moving on before they get into a situation where you have a quarterback just hanging on, and then they don't address it because they want to try to stay loyal to the quarterback. And then all of a sudden he retires, and then they have nobody. They got to go to the wide receiver playing quarterback. And you don't want that. You got your emergency quarterback playing quarterback because you've been hanging on to this bit.
And he happens to be your number one wide receiver.
You're right.
Seen that way too many times. Way too many times where your number one wide receiver is your emergency backup quarterback.
So that's my thing, Patrick. Jordan Love didn't look good. All right, fair enough. If you want to say he didn't look good, he looked maybe even a little bit spooked with the environment there. Okay, fine. Tell me how many vet quarterbacks have looked spooked in that environment in Kansas City. That's a tough place to play.
That's a very intimidating place to play.
Yes. But
And that crowd, the way that crowd is, whew, yeah.
Right. But him, I feel like that he was finally starting to find his footing and make a few throws, and it really turned into a situation where they just kind of ran out of time. And Kansas City was able to get some first downs, and they held on for the win. But I'm not on that camp of Jordan Love is garbage and he needs to get traded. Like it seems like everybody else
got a
is.
lot to learn.
Right.
He's a rookie. Give him some time. I mean, he's literally what, 8 games into his first season.
I mean, it's his second year, but he hasn't played, so he might as well be a rookie. Honestly, that was the first game he's played.
Yeah. So until you get playtime, you're not part of a team. And when you get playtime, then you're a rookie. He's a rookie. To me, he's a rookie.
Simple as that, Patrick. And I guess with that, it's time for us to get out. So we hope you enjoyed this show. That is what we are breathing on for this week. Y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. So everybody enjoy. Oh gosh, because man, college basketball is actually running now. You got the NBA in motion, and of course, these football games are going to continue to come with college and the NFL. So there's a lot going on. Great time of the year to be a sports fan. So everybody enjoy the games, and we will be in touch with y'all throughout the week. And if you don't catch us then we'll catch y'all at this same time next week. So everybody take care.
Every week. Go Dogs.